During a live interview, Taehyung's hand lingers too long on Jungkook's thigh. What follows shocks the fans and unearths hidden emotions neither expected. "You're doing it again," Jungkook whispered, his voice low, eyes unmoving from the camera, smile still frozen on his lips. Taehyung didn't blink. His hand stayed exactly where it was, resting gently but deliberately on Jungkook's thigh. Not in passing, not accidental, intentional. The room was lit soft beige, the kind of warm lighting that dulled shadows but not tension. The 3 cameras were already rolling, red dots glowing like warning signals. The live chat was exploding on the monitor across from them. Fans were spamming purple hearts, screenshots, and shocked emojis. But Taehyung didn't look away. His fingers gave the faintest squeeze. Jungkook's breath hitched. None of the staff noticed or pretended not to. Jimin, sitting on the far right, kept talking about their upcoming tour, voice practiced and smooth. Namjoon was nodding beside him, completely unaware of the war erupting on the left side of the frame. Jungkook shifted slightly in his seat, trying to casually dislodge Taehyung's hand without making it obvious. But Taehyung's fingers only curled firmer, as if saying, "Don't, not yet." In his ear, through the tiny monitor earpiece, a producer whispered something about fan engagement. Jungkook didn't hear a word. All he could feel was the heat radiating from Taehyung's palm through the thick fabric of his pants, like a secret no one else could see. His eyes darted briefly toward Taehyung, who was now smiling, not at him, but to nothing in particular, like he had all the time in the world to pretend this wasn't happening. What was he doing? Why now? The last time Taehyung had touched him like this, no. That had been over a year ago, backstage in Tokyo, a drunken night, a blurred kiss, silence the morning after. They had agreed never to talk about it. But now, here they were, on a live stream watched by millions, and Taehyung was breaking the silence. Not with words, with touch. Jungkook's thoughts spiraled. He couldn't process it fast enough. Was this revenge? A joke? Or something real? Taehyung finally turned his head to him, just slightly, and his voice was low but audible enough for the mic to pick it up. "You were shaking. I thought this would calm you down." The comment wasn't meant for the fans. It wasn't meant for anyone but Jungkook. But the camera caught it, the fans heard it, the chat went feral. Jungkook's throat tightened. His mind raced back to the night before, when he couldn't sleep, when Taehyung had texted at 2:11 a.m. saying, "I know why you're anxious." He'd ignored it, deleted it, pretended it never came. Now, in front of the world, Taehyung was forcing him to remember. The camera angle shifted. The moment was about to pass. But not for Jungkook, because his body was responding. His nerves were on fire, his pulse pounding through his throat. This wasn't just awkward. It was intimate. Too intimate. They finished the interview, somehow the blurrier than the start. Laughter, bows, forced smiles. But Jungkook never looked back at the camera. He stood slowly, eyes on the floor, brushing Taehyung's hand off as casually as he could manage. But as they walked off set, Taehyung's voice returned, quiet, closer than before. "You think I'm doing this for them?" he asked. Jungkook didn't respond. Couldn't. He just walked faster. Behind him, Taehyung stood still, one hand in his pocket, the other brushing the seat Jungkook had just left. Smiling, but not happy. And for the first time in months, he let himself feel what he had buried beneath rehearsals, interviews, and sold-out stadiums. Regret. And maybe something worse, because he wasn't sure if he wanted Jungkook to forgive him or remember everything. You knew the cameras were on. Jungkook said sharply, his back still turned, hands clenched at his sides. His voice was steady, but only barely. They were alone now. Or at least as alone as two members of the world's biggest boy band could be in a narrow backstage hallway, echoing with the hum of closing tech equipment and distant footsteps. A forgotten water bottle rolled under a bench nearby. Fluorescent lights above flickered slightly, too cold, too white, exposing everything. Taehyung leaned against the wall behind him, arms crossed. The same faint smile still lingered on his lips, but his eyes were different now, sharp, unreadable. "And you're mad because—" The question hit like a slap. Jungkook opened his mouth, then closed it. His jaw tightened. "This isn't funny. I'm not laughing. Then what the hell do you want from me, Tae?" Taehyung pushed off the wall, his calm cracking just slightly. "I want you to stop pretending that you didn't feel it too." The silence that followed could have drowned a room full of people. Jungkook's heartbeat pounded so loudly in his ears he could barely hear the clatter of a dropped mic stand somewhere down the hallway. "Is that what this is about?" Jungkook finally said, stepping closer. "You want a reaction? You want me to yell, to cry, to kiss you backstage again like that night in Tokyo, and then what? Pretend it didn't happen again?" Taehyung's face twitched. That hit home. "Or are you trying to punish me?" Jungkook pressed. "Because I never replied to your texts? Because I moved on?" "You didn't move on," Taehyung said, voice suddenly low. "You just buried it deeper than me." Jungkook's mouth opened, but no words came. His chest rose and fell unevenly. "You think I haven't seen you flinch every time I get near you? You think I don't notice how you avoid eye contact when we were rehearsing those fan service moments? Or how you always request to sit on the other side of the couch during live streams now?" He was close now. Too close. "I touched your leg today because I knew it would break you, because I needed to see if you still remember what it felt like." Jungkook's breath caught. His fists were shaking. He didn't back away. "I remember everything," he said, barely audible. For a second, time folded. The hallway, the staff, the world outside their bubble, gone. Taehyung's eyes softened, a tremor running through his fingers. He reached out, gently placing his hand on Jungkook's wrist, not pushing, just holding. And Jungkook didn't pull away. "You're cruel," he said quietly, tears threatening now. "You're cruel to bring this back when I was just starting to feel normal again." Taehyung exhaled, his expression breaking. "I'm sorry. I don't know how else to stop pretending. Not anymore." Before Jungkook could answer, the door at the end of the hallway swung open. "Hyungs, they want group photos, 5 minutes." It was a junior staff member, oblivious to the tension slicing the air. Both men stepped apart instinctively, professionalism kicking in like a switch being flipped. "Okay, we're coming," Jungkook said, his voice eerily even. As the door closed again, Taehyung turned his head. "This isn't over." Jungkook didn't answer. He walked ahead, faster, his face unreadable, but something in the way his hand lingered near his side, open, almost waiting, told Taehyung everything he needed to know. That night, the chaos didn't stop. Online communities blew up. Fans dissected the thigh touch moment from 1,000 angles. The audio clip of Taehyung whispering, "I thought this would calm you down," was trending in 6 countries. Fan theories ranged from accidental comfort to secret relationship, but none of them knew the truth. Not yet. Back at their shared dorm floor, things were quieter, almost too quiet. Jungkook stood outside Taehyung's door, knuckles hesitating inches away from the wood. He raised his hand, lowered it, raised it again. Then the door opened on its own. Taehyung stood there, hair damp from a shower, t-shirt clinging slightly to his chest. "You always do this. Wait outside instead of knocking." Jungkook stepped in without a word. The door clicked shut. No cameras now. No fans, no excuses. Taehyung moved first, sitting down on the edge of the bed. Jungkook stayed standing, arms folded tightly across his chest. I didn't come here to fight. I know. I didn't come here to pick up where we left off either. I know that too. Then what do we do? Jungkook's voice cracked with the weight of everything he hadn't said for months. Taehyung looked up, eyes bloodshot but dry. I think we stop pretending that this is just fan service. Jungkook laughed bitterly. And what do we call it then? Taehyung didn't answer. So Jungkook did it for him. We call it something we can't afford. They stared at each other in silence for what felt like hours. Then Jungkook walked over, knelt in front of Taehyung, resting his forehead on the older boy's knee. But I'm tired of lying. Taehyung's hands trembled. He didn't say anything. He just placed his palm gently over Jungkook's hair. No pressure, just presence. That was all it took. Whatever war had been raging inside them finally paused. Not ended, but paused. Long enough for them to breathe, to exist without pretending. Outside, the city buzzed with lights and noise. The fandom spiraled in speculation. The tour schedule loomed closer. But in that room, behind a locked door, it wasn't about the world.
It was about two boys who couldn't figure out where they ended and the act began. And neither of them was ready to let go, no matter the cost. The air was too clean, that fake, sterilized scent that clung to high-production reality sets and hotel lobbies, pretending to feel like home. Jungkook stood still under the studio lights, blinking against the sudden brightness as the director's voice echoed. Places, boys. Rolling in 3, 2. Click. Red light. Live. It was the first day of their new behind-the-scenes reality show, something the label had announced without much warning. Raw, unfiltered access to the members like never before, the press release promised. Fans had eaten it up within minutes. Every episode would be streamed weekly, uncensored, no edits, no second takes. The perfect storm. Jungkook hated every second of it. They were in a makeshift living room set. Warm hues, soft pillows, wood textures meant to make the space feel natural. But everything about it was curated, fake. Except for the tension between him and Taehyung, which was very, very real. I'm surprised you agreed to this, Jungkook said under his breath as they took their places on the couch. Taehyung didn't look at him. Didn't have a choice. PR said yes before I could say no. The cameras were too close. The director had positioned them right next to each other again, like always. Like someone behind the scenes wanted a repeat of what happened in the interview. Jungkook adjusted his mic. They're going to push us. I know. Then stop giving them content. Taehyung smirked faintly. You mean stop touching you? Jungkook's brow hitched. Don't do that. You're the one still thinking about it. Their conversation stopped instantly when Jimin plopped onto the couch beside them, grinning at the camera like he'd been born in front of it. Let's give the fans what they want, he cheered, throwing an arm around both of them. The episode started with harmless banter, cooking challenges, roommate pairings, playful teasing, but the heat never left the space between Taehyung and Jungkook. The kind of heat that didn't come from bright lights or nervous excitement, but from something that had been simmering for too long. And the cameras caught everything. During a segment where the boys had to write anonymous confessions and drop them into a jar, Taehyung's fingers brushed Jungkook's as he handed him a pen. Not by accident. Again, not this time. Jungkook didn't react, not visibly, but his shoulders stiffened and he gripped the paper a little too tightly. The host, a bubbly MC assigned to add commentary to their reality show, picked out a slip and read it aloud. I once kissed a member in a hotel hallway and pretended it never happened. Silence. Namjoon laughed awkwardly. Well, that narrows it down to at least 6 of us. Yoongi smirked. Why a hallway? Get a room. Taehyung looked directly at Jungkook then, just a split-second glance, but devastatingly heavy. Jungkook clenched his jaw, fighting not to shift under the weight of it. They got through the filming. Barely. As soon as the director called cut, Jungkook was up and walking out of frame. Taehyung followed. They found themselves in a storage hallway again. No cameras, no lights, just a row of unused equipment cases and a half-eaten snack tray. The hum of the air conditioner masked their voices. You wrote that note. Jungkook didn't ask, stating. Taehyung didn't deny it. Yeah. Why? Because I'm tired of pretending I'm over it. Jungkook pressed his fingers to his temple like the pressure could keep the thoughts from spilling out. Do you want to ruin both our careers? No, Taehyung replied. I want to stop ruining us. There was no dramatic kiss, no tearful confession. Just 2 people staring at each other like the world had pressed pause, their hearts too loud in the quiet. What are we even doing? Jungkook asked, voice barely a whisper. I don't know, Taehyung said. But I can't go back to pretending we're strangers with matching outfits. Jungkook looked away. This isn't just about us anymore. It hasn't been for a long time. I know. I can't survive a scandal. I'm not asking you to. Then what are you asking me? Taehyung stepped closer, his voice tight and full of something raw. I'm asking you not to push me away every time you remember what it felt like. Jungkook swallowed hard. And if I can't stop remembering, then stop fighting it. The door opened suddenly. A camera operator poked his head in. Hey guys, they need you for the group dinner scene. Taehyung didn't look away from Jungkook. We'll be there. The door closed again. Silence returned. Then suddenly, Jungkook laughed. Dry, sharp. You realize they're filming all of this. Every glance, every word. Taehyung nodded. Good. Let them. Jungkook stared at him, not knowing whether to be terrified or relieved. You want us to get caught?
I want us to stop hiding, Taehyung said. There's a difference. That night, the group dinner aired live. Fans tuned in by the millions. The usual chaos ensued, J-Hope making jokes, Jin stealing food, the table erupting in laughter. But the camera caught the subtle things too, like the way Taehyung placed his chopsticks down every time Jungkook started talking, like he didn't want to miss a word. Or the way Jungkook glanced at Taehyung's lips when he smiled, just briefly, like a habit he didn't know he had. One clip, just 4 seconds long, ended up trending for hours. Jungkook reaching for the soy sauce, Taehyung handing it to him without being asked. Their fingers brushed. Neither of them looked away. No words, just that look. And the fans knew. Something had changed. The night started like a joke. A few drinks, a dimly lit lounge room in their shared temporary villa for the shoot, and someone, probably Hobi, yelled, "Let's play Truth or Dare!" like they were 17 and not grown men with endorsement deals, fragile reputations, and an ever-watching global audience. The producers, of course, loved it. Perfect, one whispered behind the handheld camera, giving the signal for the team to start filming. Unscripted gold. They had set up fairy lights around the room, low cushions, mood lighting, the illusion of intimacy. The group settled into a loose circle, everyone pretending to be relaxed, casual. But it wasn't casual, not even close. Taehyung sat with his knee against Jungkook's. Close, but not quite touching. The air between them pulsed. Jinhyung, truth or dare? Jimin grinned. Jin groaned. Truth, I guess. Have you ever lied to the fans? Jimin smirked. A pause. Jin glanced at the camera, then back at the boys. Every single day, Jin said, sipping from his glass. But only the kind of lies that keep us all alive. No one laughed. It went on like that for a while. Save questions, silly dares. Taehyung drank from Jungkook's cup once, deliberately. Jungkook didn't say anything. But he didn't pull away either. Then it was Taehyung's turn. Jungkook locked eyes with him before asking, truth or dare? Taehyung's answer came fast. Truth. Have you ever had feelings for someone in this room? The air snapped. No one moved, not even the crew. Taehyung blinked once, slowly. Yes. Namjoon tried to save the moment with a laugh. Well, that narrows it down to 7 disasters waiting to happen. But the camera had already captured it. The pause, the silence, the way Taehyung's eyes had landed on Jungkook for exactly one breath too long. Everyone felt it, even if they didn't say it. The game spiraled. Later, Yoongi was dared to rap a confession he'd never told anyone. He made it funny. J-Hope had to dance to a girl group song blindfolded. Jin had to call their manager and confess that he broke the bathroom mirror. He did not. And then it was Jungkook's turn. Taehyung leaned back, voice quiet, but loaded. Truth or dare, Jungkook? Jungkook stared at him, unreadable. Dare. Taehyung didn't smile. He wasn't teasing. He was dead serious. The crew waited breathless behind their monitors. The rest of the members froze. Jungkook stood. He walked straight across the circle. And then he kissed Jimin. Soft. Quick. A simple press of lips. The room exploded in laughter. Jimin giggled, cheeks flushing. Jungkook laughed too, but it was too forced, too sharp. Taehyung didn't say a word. He just stared down to the floor, lips parted, one hand clenched tight in his lap. Later, when the cameras were off, Jungkook was the last to leave the room. The lights were down now, the crew wrapping up. Empty glasses scattered across the table. A cushion slightly damp from someone's spilled drink. Taehyung hadn't said goodnight. He hadn't looked at him again. Jungkook found him on the villa balcony, alone, smoking a cigarette with the kind of quiet anger that vibrated beneath the skin. I didn't do it to hurt you, Jungkook said, stepping into the night air. You didn't kiss me, Taehyung replied without turning around. You dared me in front of everyone. What did you expect me to do? I'm not hiding, Jungkook said, but it came out too fast, too defensive. Taehyung turned now, eyes tired. Then why not kiss me? Jungkook stepped closer. Because if I did, there'd be no taking it back. Taehyung dropped the cigarette, crushed it under his heel. That's the problem with us, he said. We keep doing everything except telling the truth. And what truth is that? That we were never just friends. Silence. The balcony lights buzzed overhead, moths spiraling in slow, suicidal dances around them. Jungkook closed the distance now, not quite touching, but near enough to feel the static between them. I don't know how to do this, he confessed. Not with the cameras, Not with the label watching. Not when everything we have can disappear overnight. Taehyung looked up at him, voice breaking, then let it disappear. Jungkook froze. "Let it all fall apart," Taehyung whispered. "But don't you dare keep pretending like this isn't real." Their faces were inches apart now, breath mingling, eyes locked. But neither moved, because this wasn't just about feelings anymore. It was about fear, control, the unbearable cost of being known. When Jungkook finally stepped back, Taehyung didn't follow. He just stood there, jaw clenched, eyes burning. And Jungkook walked away, not because he didn't want to stay, but because staying would mean choosing something he didn't know how to protect. The next morning, footage of the Truth or Dare night leaked early. The clip of Taehyung's confession was everywhere. So was the kiss. Fan theories exploded. Edits, heated debates. Why didn't he kiss Tae trended worldwide. Jungkook stayed offline. But Taehyung didn't. Instead, he posted a single photo. No caption, just his hand, resting on the thigh of someone wearing black sweatpants with a tear just above the knee, the same pants Jungkook had worn that night. The comment section burned, and for the first time, no one, not the fans, not the staff, not even the label, could tell if it was an accident or a declaration. The press room was suffocating. Bright lights, clean white everything, rows of executives in charcoal suits, and a heavy stillness that felt less like air and more like glass, ready to shatter. Jungkook sat across from two senior HYB directors. A lawyer stood beside them. His manager had both palms pressed to his temples. No one was talking yet. He hadn't slept. Not really. Not since the post went up. That photo, Taehyung's hand, his thigh, it had already been deleted, but not before it had become the most screenshotted, reposted, and dissected image of their careers. Overnight, fan communities turned into battlegrounds. Shipping hashtags flooded the timelines. Korean media caught wind. International outlets followed. Sponsors started pulling inquiries. And then came the label. "Tell me you didn't know he would post it," the director finally said. Jungkook's voice was hoarse. "I didn't." "Then why haven't you said anything publicly? Why haven't you denied it?" Jungkook looked up. "Because I'm not lying anymore." That sentence dropped like a grenade. One of the men leaned forward. "Do you understand what this could cost us?" "Yes." "Do you understand what this could cost him?" That hurt more. The door behind them opened. Taehyung walked in. He was wearing a simple white shirt, unbranded. No earrings, no makeup, just himself. I told him not to deny it. I told him, if this gets ugly, I'll take the fall. "No," Jungkook stood. "We fall together or we don't fall at all." There was no time for dramatics. The company needed a decision before the press did. The legal team offered options. Both could deny, one could take blame. They could call it queerbaiting, fan manipulation, a misunderstanding. Everything would be wiped clean by morning. But the truth had already cracked the glass. That night, they released a statement. Not through the label, through themselves. A handwritten letter, jointly signed. "We have spent years performing every version of ourselves the world wanted to see. This, whatever this is not for performance. It is real. It is difficult, and we do not know where it goes from here. But we are tired of living afraid." It was not polished. It was not safe. But it was honest, and it broke the internet. The reactions were nuclear. Half the world wanted their heads, the other half wanted to build a shrine. Rumors swirled of contracts being canceled, partnerships suspended, even threats to disband the group. HYB said nothing. The silence was its own storm. But inside the dorm, that night, there was only peace. Jungkook stood on the balcony, hoodie pulled low, coffee going cold in his hands. The city glittered beneath him. vibrant, endless, unaware. Taehyung stepped beside him, barefoot, hair damp from the shower. No words at first, just the quiet of being next to each other without needing to explain. "Do you regret it?" Taehyung asked eventually. Jungkook shook his head. "I regret waiting this long." Taehyung smiled faintly. "I thought the world would burn. Maybe it still will, but I'm done apologizing for wanting something real." A pause. "Are we real?" Taehyung asked, and the vulnerability in his voice almost broke him.
Jungkook turned to face him fully, more than anything else I've ever known. And this time, when their hands touched, there were no cameras, no crowds, just skin against skin, warm, honest, free. The next morning, the fandom was still in chaos. Some fans wrote essays about betrayal. Others cried tears of joy. Media outlets circled like vultures waiting for blood. But something unexpected happened. An idol from another group tweeted, "Proud of them. Wish I had the same courage." Then another. Then a young actor. Then a fashion designer. Until the silence broke. Until the shame began to lift. Not for everyone, not right away. But something had shifted. Taehyung and Jungkook didn't appear in public for weeks after that. No interviews, no live broadcasts, just stillness. Until one night, unannounced, they went live. No stylists, no script, just them, sitting on the couch, wearing black, knees touching like always. Taehyung spoke first. "We didn't come here to explain ourselves," Jungkook noted. "Just to say thank you to the ones who stayed." They read comments, they laughed, they cried once, and when the broadcast ended, Jungkook said one final thing, his voice raw and steady. "I don't know what comes next, but I'm not afraid of it anymore." The screen went dark, but something in the world felt a little more honest after that, a little less performative. And as the next chapter of their lives began, whatever it would look like, they walked into it side by side. Not as fan service, not as fantasy, but as two people who dared to stop pretending. And that, more than anything else, changed everything.